Good morning, Judy from Thistledew Creations, decorating some Christmas pockets for you. I'll just show you some of the ones that I've made so far. I made all different types of book page pockets, and I used up an entire book. So I have quite a few of these to do in different themes. So this one is a triple pocket with these scoops in each pocket, and I left the one side open, so you've got a pocket, a tuck spot, a pocket, a tuck spot, and then I decorated up the side that has the unfolded edge, so that really reinforces that. Here it's all where the paper has been folded over, and then I did a little decorating on the front as well. And then I inked front and back last night, but I guess I missed this one on the back. So that one can just be glued down. And then I made a bunch of these little pouches that are just a single pouch, and I made them the size to fit an ATC into. So there's an ATC blank that I haven't decorated yet. It's a little snug, so it's gonna have to be a fairly flat card on that one. And then I just made a flap that folds over. And I find that if you put something heavy enough on the flap, you don't really need like a way to keep it closed. So underneath here, I've just got a couple of little snippets of some burlap ribbon and some doily. And then on the flap, I've got some of this really nice embroidered ribbon, and then a couple of little bits of lace along each side. And then that I did ink the back of that one. And then similar thing, only landscape instead of portrait. So again, this one will take a ATC, and I've got it decorated up for Christmas. So I've got some music paper, some lace. This is a little cutout from an old Christmas card. I've set and fussy cut a bunch of them. And this one had the black border around it, but it's a good indication of what you can do with images that you're fussy cutting, maybe out of like magazines or catalogs or whatever. And if the edges aren't great, you can just use black marker. This looks like a hand-painted leaf and berries cluster. And it could just as easily be black marker around the edge, but that was actually the color of the card that it was on. And then for the flaps, I've inked around this. Now I inked after I glued them together, because the day that I was making them, I was just making them. I wasn't stopping to ink. And it isn't hard. I'll show you how I get this inked without inking that. And then the flap, I just put a piece of my die cut. It's actually from an old calendar, so it's almost like a cardstock. And then I doubled over a piece of the torn plaid ribbon so that both of the frayed edges are showing. I just love how that looks. And then I put the doily and another piece of the holly. And then this is the edge from one of the ribbons. It's like a tin foil edge, only gold. It's not wired, so you've probably seen those types of ribbons. Quite often they have an actual little piece of wire in the edge, but this one has, instead of wire, it's just like a piece of foil. So I don't know if they're cheaper ones, or they're certainly safer if you're working around kids, but I just literally give this a snip and rip that. This one doesn't rip very well, like it puckers all through, but you can straighten it back out like this. And then just rip down the other edge as well. And then you're left with both the torn edge fabric and this little gold detail that you can use and glue on. I had a bunch of different rough edges here, so I wanted to kind of cover them up, and that just adds a nice little glimmer of gold. So I really like the way that one turned out. And then one of these little pockets with the angle angled tuck spot basically. And then I left another little tuck spot on the back. So I've decorated this one front and back. Another little bit of that cardstock with the, I think it was a Martha Stewart punch on that one. And then this is just a little piece of the gold round, like a cord ribbon that you get, I think, at the dollar store on spools. So it's kind of round, like a string, but a glittery string. So just a little bit of that up there to cover those edges. And then there's a deer, and joy actually came out of this ribbon. So I do the same thing with this. I can just do the rip. This has the wire in the edge. You can do that rip and get a strip of a collaged sayings. But what I did with this was the other night I didn't do a lot of them, but I cut out some words. So I've got happy holidays, joy, happy holidays, jingle all the way. Now I've just cut these, but then what I do after that, when I'm getting ready to use them, is I frayed the edges. So just take your pokey tool. You can see the frayed edges here. They're glued down, so they're not as obvious. But you can just take I cut them a little bigger than I might normally cut around a word so that I can make the phrase. And you just take out a few pieces of the string that are going the opposite direction, and you've got a frayed edge. You can do all 4 edges, but sometimes I'll just do like 2 edges, just the ends, like this. So that's another thing you can also do in front of the TV to prepare for crafting. So that gives you that. I'm going to do some of these things together today. I just want to show you first what I've got made ahead. And then another little two pocket one. So you have, if you're not gluing it all the way down, you've got a tuck spot behind, a pocket, a tuck spot, and another pocket. And again, these will hold ATCs if you're trading, or just ephemera, or tags, or photos, or whatever you want. So this one I had some cut out Christmas tree from old Christmas cards. I spent one evening just going through any of the cards that I knew I didn't want to use for covers for journals, because I'm going to make some little mini Christmas card journals. But the ones that I just didn't care for the layout of them, I cut out what I could from them and then saved the cardstock to use as just cardstock. So this one just has some music paper that's inked, and then a little snippet of lace with a button on top, and then the tree with some iridescent star glitter. So that's all it needs, just to decorate up a little bit when I send my ATCs. And then this one isn't really a pocket. I did this up at the same time. So I folded the top edge of the paper like you're going to start doing a paper airplane. And then I just folded the other piece up, and so it looks like a little envelope. Now you could still tuck things in here. The other thing you could do is glue coffee dyed paper or lined paper here to make it more of a journaling spot. But I just thought it was a cute idea and I wanted to try it. So I decorated that one very simply with just a piece of doily that's inked and one of these little flowers that I found in my stash. I had tucked it in my Christmas stuff. And then there's just a piece of that lace that I used here, just to show you. And then this little simple single pocket is done with music paper. Actually, it's not a single pocket. At first glance, it's a single pocket. What it is there's a pocket here, and a pocket here, and a pocket here. Plus then you could have a tuck spot in behind or a pocket off to the side. So it's made with music paper. And then I put a little bit of washi tape underneath this stamped out or punched out edging, and then a little piece of this narrow burlap ribbon, and then a piece of that lace and a button. So you don't need to have a lot of snowmen and Santas and certain cutouts to make it look Christmassy. I think this looks Christmassy just because it's the colors and the lace and the music, and it's not even Christmas music, but it just gives it that jolly feel. So I've got some blank ones here, and we'll decorate some more of them. So let's start with this little low pocket. It's double-sided pockets, and then you could also use this as a tuck spot, depending on how you use it, how you're clipping it in or gluing it in or whatever. So this is sort of two low, long things to decorate. Let's see what I have. And I've got a bunch of Christmas card fussy cuts set aside in this little expanding file that I made. And that'll be another video, how to make these expanding files. I find them really handy when I'm fussy cutting in front of the TV. I can sort the stuff as I go into little categories. So I've just written it in pencil inside, but my intention is to put some tabs with words. But I've got Santas, poinsettias, holly, trees, text, and just random bits. So I'm pulling this next piece out of my random bits. So this is just the bottom edge of a card that I didn't care for, and I thought, well, I don't mind that. I could use that. So I'm going to use my really severe scallops. This is called Majestic Long, this Fisker's paper edge pattern. And I'm going to cut, actually, I think I'll cut right along the edge of the gold. It's like a gold filigree sort of detail. Cut straight there. And again, I'm just following it. I'm not worried about whether I get a little bit of ivory. In fact, I got a bit of ivory all the way up because I'm going to ink it. And watch what happens when I ink that. It blends right in. Takes a bit of the goldness away and makes it a little more brown, but that's okay. It's bronze. And then I think what I'm going to do is have this edge with this scallop on it. And I'm going to go about halfway. That way I get a piece to use right now and a piece to use again later. So with these scissors, the pattern is quite wide. So when you make one cut, then you have to move your scissors up and line up those previous ones so that the pattern continues properly. If you don't, it won't look like the pattern on the scissors shows. Still won't be bad, but it's not going to be the way it's supposed to be. If you want more random, then don't worry about it, but that gives you a nice detail. And then I think I'm going to put some lace or something underneath it. Maybe I'll put this plaid underneath it. I like this plaid. And what I did, I don't think I need anything less fussy actually for these. I mean, they're pretty simple. Maybe I'll just use a bit of this gold edge with it. So for that, I'm going to use my older scissors. I'm allowing myself to use these for rougher things and trying to keep these newer. I think I got these just in a hardware kit at the hardware store, but they're pretty sharp, so I want to keep them that way. Just pull over some of the ribbons that I've got here to work with and see if there's something better. I do have this, which I was using on my no, that's too dull. That's too dull for that. Maybe with this, maybe the black. I should have figured this out. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll use this. That's about the right tone. Maybe not use that gold this time. Okay, so this is an actual pocket. It's glued at both ends. And I just want to dress it up. And this will also stiffen it up. So I'm going to put this right at the top edge so that it'll stiffen up this pocket edge. And I think I'll have this poking out underneath. So I'm just going to trace it. Cut it to length. And I do want it to go like right all the way side to side. And then I'm just gonna make a couple of little marks so that I know where to put this snowflake ribbon. Just go like this in a couple spots. And then I'll know that I want it sort of starting about here so that it'll be poking out. And I'll cut it to length. I could glue it down and then cut it off too. You could do it either way. Let's do that just to show you the easier way. So just a simple straight run of glue, since it's going all the way across. And then just sort of lining it up with my little rough pencil mark there. I didn't get myself a wet rag. I might have to make one here. I keep a bottle of water, not for drinking, but just so I don't have to run to the bathroom to wet my rag every time I need to, when I forget. Sometimes I get it wet before I start crafting, but if I'm going to be filming, I don't want to be leaving you all the time. Just want something to wipe my hands so they don't get so completely covered in glue while I'm crafting. Okay, so that should be decently stuck down now. And that's just like a very, very fine linen in a burlap color, and it's just a ribbon. I don't even know where that one came from. And then I'm going to ink the other side of this as well, just so that the white doesn't show, because it's white on the back. It's cardstock. There's a little tip there that wasn't perfect, so that'll fix that. Actually, I can rip that off. That loose bit. And that just richens it a bit too. Makes that sort of dusty burgundy a bit brighter on the edges. Gives it some dimension. And then I think I'll glue the back of this because I can hold on to it fairly easily. Trying to get myself trained to use these again. That way my fingers don't get quite so sticky too. And I don't want the scalloped edge up, because then when you're trying to put something in and out of that little pocket, it's always going to get caught on it. So that's why I put the scalloped edge down. But I think it adds a nice kind of almost an icing feel to it. I think that looks really pretty. Very subdued colors for Christmas, but it's there. Now this is also a pocket, not just a tuck spot. So we'll do a similar thing here, I think. Maybe start with the, I don't have another piece of that, I don't think. I have something more glittery. Got this that I could use. That's a little brighter, but that would work. And that's probably all it needs, really. Maybe just trim this so that it's even with the top edge. See how it's wider here than it is here? And it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do it anyway. And ink that edge. And this will really firm up this pocket really well. And then inking this edge is going to make it look nice and rustic. And then if I put this right along the top, I don't even need to, actually, if I do move it over, I could put a little something over here. Let's see what we've got. It's nice to be able to reuse the old Christmas cards in lots of different ways. I used to just use them to make gift tags, and that was about it. And gift tags and those little boxes that I made on another video. I don't think I have any of those handy right here. I'd show you. You can check that video out. It was in my Christmas in July playlist. So I just want a little something to put over here. just so that, I mean, I'm just getting warmed up, but just so that it looks more decorated. So let's see what I've got in my little bag of cutouts here. Something small. These ones were just little Christmas tags. And again, it can stick out past the edge too, so I could do something like that. That's not really the right color. That blue background doesn't really go, but I could do something whimsical like that. I've got a Santa with a lantern. And it doesn't look bad on the back side because it's sort of a coppery cardstock on the back. So let's do him and just have him guarding over what's in this pocket. And then, to me, it still needs a little something. I'm thinking something right here. Like a little green button. These green buttons are on a sticker sheet, but I think they might be a little on the old side. I got them in a swap. So I'm just gluing them on. I just like to have little 3D embellishments when I can. Like I did another one of these little buttons up here, especially in a place where it's not going to affect the use. So we can put, you know, gift tags. You could stick a gift card in this for a present. You know, if you had a gift card that you wanted to give for Christmas, you could stick it in there. Or some money. And then you still got your tuck spot back here, which can be kind of a little bit of a surprise. I like the way that one turned out. Set that flat so it can dry. And then let's do another one of these little angle pockets. So this has a tuck spot here, and then depending on how you glue it down, it can have another tuck spot. I would do the tuck spot here on this folded side if I was going to do it that way. So you want to glue something really flat up in here if you're going to put something, and then you can have something really pretty here. I was just thinking maybe I would use those little red roses. That I cut out when I was making my poppies. And I'll do a trio. And like, I mean, I was just literally just thinking that just this minute. I didn't pre-plan it like I probably should have. Okay, what do I want in behind them though? Maybe some burlap and snowflake. Or maybe just some, with the burlap and snowflake, we could do like that, and that can glue down fairly flat. I just want it flat so that when you're putting something in this pocket, it's not getting in the way. So I'm gonna fray. I'm just doing it off to the side because I can put it right into my garbage can. But basically this stuff frays so well, all you have to do is pull it with your fingers. If your fingers are really sensitive, or if your nails are really sensitive, you can use your pokey tool. So I'll just do that one more string with the pokey tool. And one more string. And the glitter is staying on the other strings that are staying behind, so that works pretty well. And then because I don't want that to get too thick. I'm going to make sure that I glue the whole thing down. I really should have bought that other bottle of glue yesterday. Glue that down and use my silicone tool to press it in. Oops. It's not supposed to stick. Stick and lift. But that's gonna stick it down nice and firmly to the paper. And then I want to ink up this larger rose. It's a whimsical Christmas rose. Inking it fairly heavily to get some sort of dimension there. And then I'm going to use the craft glue for it, the white glue. See, this is how my fingers get sticky. And I wouldn't mind a little leaf, but I would need a really flat one, like out of a magazine or something. I think this will be pretty without it. And then over here I can go a little more bulky. So here I might add the lace behind it. And so I'll show you, I do the same trick there. And that can, again, that can be longer than the page. I'm going to try to get, do a cut like this. So going down towards the end of that scallop. And then I'm going to do another cut the same at this end. Leaving a full one in the middle. Like that. And then I'll put my rose right on top. I think I might bump it up with some something in behind it just to give it some dimension, because it can have it on the front here. So I might as well give it to it. But I do want to do the 3 roses, partially to use them up, but also just to have a pretty theme on this card, or not this card, this pocket. So it's already kind of lifted up because it's on the lace, but I just want something else underneath it. So maybe just a couple of little, I don't have the foam dots. I threw a bunch of them out before I realized I could actually use them. Just not thinking ahead. So I just have some little 5/8 circles. And some of them aren't perfect. Like I've got one edge off the page. I'm just doing black so that if they're seen, they're just like in the shadows. This will give this little rose just a little boost up off of the lace. So I'm going to glue this down. And then add another dot of glue on top of it. And glue my flower down. So it kind of pops up. And 3 of those little bits of cardstock did the job. Gives it some dimension. It's going to need some time to set up because it's quite a bit of glue for that little flower. And these are cardstock, so I'm not worried too much about them like curling up or anything. And then this top one's going to have to be sort of flat again because you want to be able to stick something in here. So I've got the burlap. Maybe I'll just repeat that. Got another little bit of it here. It can go like this, and it's okay that it's sticking out. So again, I'll just fray it a bit. Maybe do the ends more so than the sides. Just take one string off the side, maybe two. I do have a string jar too, but some of these are so small. And my string jar is so full that those are going in the garbage. And then I'll just put a line of this glue up at the top here on the same angle as the top of the pocket. And then just place that right on it. And then I'm not going to pop this one up because again, I don't want it to get in the way of what you're putting in and out of that pocket. So I want to get it glued as close to the edge as possible so that this doesn't lift. And I'm going to put it sort of up in the upper corner there. So not a lot of elements, just the burlap, the lace, and the roses, but I think that's really pretty too. And then you can fill it with different little bits, like I might just send this in Happy Mail with some ephemera in it. I'll give that time to set up. Now let's do a triple pocket. So this is similar to this one. I'll just keep it here sort of as inspiration. So let's do something similar. Let's use some doily, music, ribbon. So my doilies, what do I do with my doilies? I've got all my Christmas bits and bobs over here to the side. There they are, down in the bottom. Actually, I've got coffee dyed doily, but I've also got some prettier ones. That's got like little trees on it. I've got some really pretty glittery blue. These aren't going to look very Christmassy if I do that, so no. I'm going to wait until I get in that vibe. I don't want to work it out in front of you. Okay, so I had the green doily, but I think I might have used it all. So we'll use a regular one. And we'll go this way, I think. That one I had going that way, but I think I'll go this way this time. So this doesn't need much. I'm going to just put down some glue stick onto the corner. I'm just going to get that warmed up by pushing it a few times off to the side. It was very cold. So just a little glue stick there, like a fair bit, but just glue stick. And then set your doily into it. And then you can either wrap it around or cut it off. I think I'm going to wrap it around so that it also is decorating the back at the same time. And this is one that I got off of Temu or AliExpress. I think Temu. So it's obviously from an Oriental company, I think China. I found it to be good. But I buy these more often at the dollar store, Dollarama. They're $2.50 at Dollarama, which doesn't thrill me, but what are you going to do? Okay, so that gives me my lacy bit, and I'll just ink that bottom edge so it blends in. Looks like it's just part of it. It feels squishy when you use that, even though it's like a dry glue, there is some moisture in it. And then I had some music paper. So my music paper box is right behind me, and I like the darker because it shows up. A lot of the music papers I have would just blend right in, like this. It's too close to the same color. But when I get these really old dark ones, I keep them handy to use. And I find with music paper, you don't have to be able to see what the song is. It's just music, so it's just happy. And I'll just ink the edges really well on that. This stuff is really fragile, so it's best for these kind of decorating projects to be glued right down because it tears so easily. You couldn't use it to make a pocket. It would just tear. So I'm basically just doing the edges because it's already a beautiful deep dark color. And then that can also be glued down because it is just sitting there. And it's such light paper that this glue will kind of embed itself into the paper. It's very old, porous paper. And then this is my folded edge over here. And this one is glued, and it's nice and stiff because it's been glued so many layers. But I think I like the idea of covering it up with some lace or something. And I did have it hanging off the edge, so it looks nice on the back too. I did get this one inked. And if you're gluing it down to the page, you don't need to ink it. But if you're clipping it in, you might want to ink it. And this one does have a pocket on the back here, so you can just lift it and give it a light inking. Or the other thing that you can do is stick a piece of paper in, and then you can give it more without getting it on the background so that you can see that pocket. And that's the reason I like to ink them, is so you can see them. You don't always see a pocket when it's book page on book page. So that's just a piece that was folded up and back. So there's a little bit of music. That's had a chance to glue now. And then I think I'm going to do some buffalo check. I want to do buffalo check. Although I'm not seeing any on my desk, which I'm having a hard time believing, but there it is. It's not there. Okay, so let's do this black. And then let's put I've got this eyelash stuff in silver, and it is glittery. So let's have that poking out the side. This will be striking. So I want that to be just the length of the pocket. I can always trim it more if I have to. I shouldn't be using those dull scissors for that. This I want going all the one direction. I don't want to get the glue on the fringy bits. There we go. So I'm going to do a very small bead of glue all along the very edge. Actually, I'm going to do 2. So I'm not impeding on the pockets opening because this was glued over that far. You can see there. So I'm going to lay this down first. Try not to get the fringy parts covered in glue. And just sort of tap it into there. And then I'm going to lay this on top. That's pretty. And I'll just trim these off once it's had a chance to dry because I don't want to pull on it right now. And then I can find a little die cut or something. This is just a sticker. I had this little sticker sheet that I got in a swap. So I could just do that again, keep it fairly flat, but I'll save these for where I need something flat because I can afford something with a little thickness here. Maybe this is where I could use this little star because it kind of goes with the silver and gold, and then that little bit of blue is almost a silvery blue. So let's do that and pop it up like I just did with the rose. I'm going to ink this just a bit. It's going to be hard to ink these little wispy bits, and I can't believe I fussy cut those. But I did. And I don't even think I used very small scissors. I think I may have used my little ones that I keep over by the TV. Anyway, so again, 3 little dots to lift it up. And they can be black ones. Again. So always use up your little paper scraps by cutting little circles with them or something. See, those ones aren't perfect, so I'll use them. I use little bits of cardstock from when I'm cutting up boxes and stuff. I'll cut the extra little pieces into either circles or whale tail tabs. You can always use a whale tail tab. You can just use the back side. Doesn't matter what the front looks like. So get those lined up and give them a squeeze. Get that glue out. My fingers, and then I'm going to put it right here. Doesn't need much to hold that down. I think I'm using too much glue lately. And then again, squeeze and spread instead of squeeze and squeeze. And then I'm going to have that kind of like that. And then again, if I wanted to decorate these sections, and just see if that's, yeah, that's supposed to be, well, it is now because I put that around. I think this side was open before, but it isn't anymore. Yeah, you've got more tuck spots anyway. But if you wanted to decorate here, you need to keep it flat. That's what I was about to say. So I could use something like this. So I've got a star, maybe a snowflake ornament. So I've got silver and gold going on, so, and black, but I don't think I have any black Christmas stickers. I've got green. And then I've got some of these little stars. These will work. Just so it has a little something. So not very colorful, but really elegant, I think. I love this eyelash yarn. And then I'll just, now that that's had a chance to catch on the glue, cut off a little bit. There, like that one too. I do have to do a couple of fall themed ones for a swap, but I don't want to. I'm done with fall. Gonna have to find some way to do one. So this one's a 2 pocket, and this particular book page is very, very plain. So this gives me a chance to do a nice little bit of collaging. It's a little bit larger space, and I probably won't put much up here at all. Maybe something poking up from behind or something, that would work. So, like some lace, or this would be stiffer. That could be, no. There's a piece that's wide enough. Get me started off with a green theme. So that's just, you can see, made out of calendar page, like the ones that are kind of cardstock. An oldie, 2012. I'll glue that down. This edge is square, so I'm going to leave it and cut this edge that isn't square. And then I will glue that on the back. So I'm just using the nozzle to spread the glue around a bit, not continuing to add more and more and more. And I think I'll just tidy up this edge in case it's visible. I'll glue it down this way. That January 2012 is lost forever, hidden forever. And this one isn't perfect. You can see it's a little thin in here, but I'm not worried about that. It's not worth worrying about that. I think I'll just put these little bit, no, they might get caught. I won't do that. So now let's do a cute little collage here. So I've got that, the rest of that doily, which could be certainly incorporated. And then maybe a little bit larger piece of music. And I've got these pieces that have the old cellophane tape, and this is actual old cellophane tape where someone has repaired this book years ago. So I kind of want to use a bit of that. I've been wanting to. It's really curled up over here, but I guess if I let it go off the edge and let it be scruffy, kind of want it to be a bit scruffy. I'm going to move it up here. So I'm going to cut it here, and I can't really rip it because of the tape. So I'm going to cut it with these. I'm going to cut it with these, and I'm not going to go straight. I'm going to go make it look like it was torn. And I'll just tear this down a bit, ink this all up. And then I'll show you another trick. When I was inking all these last night, I was using this piece of paper in behind where it's fragile paper. I was using this to kind of make it more stiff and so that I can hold on to it and just ink the edges. You can move that up. Because if you try to do it like this, sometimes that's not too bad there because of the tape. But if you try to ink this, you're holding it down, it's too floppy. See that? It's kind of floppy. So if you just have something like this behind it, that's why this edge is so dark, because I did this whole stack of pockets last night in preparation for this video. Not that I'm going to decorate all of them in this video, but just so that they were done. I don't want to do them all in one theme anyway. And because that's going to be sticking beyond the edge of the page, I'll just ink the back side of it as well. Okay, so I'm going to put that up here and sticking out. Kind of have that little scallop that I made. The following the pocket. I'm just going to go like this, right to the edge so that it doesn't lift up on me. Line that up and just set that down. I'm really thrilled to be able to use this. And then again, I seem to want to use this corner. I'm not going to be able to wrap it around because of this. So what I'll do is I'm going to use the ripple scissors along the bottom edge. And right up 190 degree. And I'll ink that. I could wait until it's glued down to ink it, but I think I'll go ahead. This also, what I used to do is I'd use my finger, and then this finger would just be covered in ink. So this, I'm still getting a little bit of ink on my fingers because this has some too, but it's saving my fingers from getting quite so inky. And then I'll glue that down with glue stick again because it's such a thin little doily that it's hard to glue it with white glue. But I think I might want to stick a little bit of white glue here where the tape is. And I just noticed this edge is kind of, didn't get any glue down here, so I'm just gonna put some in behind there. Again, I'm gonna need to, my fingers here in a second, but I'll do this first. I just love that little bit of lace, and I like that I'm leaving this off the edge. I don't do that a lot, so I'm trying to give it a try today. And that's actually helping this to lift. So this is a tuck spot here. Make sure I don't have any glue sticking out. And then what do I want to decorate this with? My little collage. Do I want trees? I've got this little bit. That would be pretty, but it's almost too big. Although, I could make the whole thing look a little bit more important, but I'm covering up too much lace with that. I'll use that somewhere else. I've got trees. I had that in the holly pocket. I do have more of those little hollies, but I don't think, oh, I know, I'll do a poinsettia. I've got some partial poinsettias, so I'll use that one there. That one just sort of seems to fit there, doesn't it? This looks like I cut it and made it just for that. I love it when a plan comes together. So I'll give this, actually, I'm gonna ink this, but then see how this as well has the black outline around the poinsettia. Now that is like where the card folded over and you get that weird little crease. I'm just using my fingernail to kind of flatten it so that it doesn't stop it from sticking down well. And what I think I'm going to do, just to show you what I was talking about earlier, that might have been in the other video, I don't remember, because I cut this out, I fussy cut it and left the black background. So I'm just going around with the black marker. I could use the black ink, but this is so easy. It certainly doesn't need antiquing. I just want to accentuate that black line, and I'm going to add it along the edge here. And be careful that you don't go off into your picture, but this is cardstock, so I'm able to hold it fairly firmly. And I think that just gives it a nice distinctness, that little border. Just give that a second to off gas. And then I think it's got to go right in the corner of the card. And then I think that one is done, except for maybe a couple of little stars or something. So you see, these are used Christmas cards. There's someone's little note to my mom inside. I have piles and piles of them all over the place. Saved them all through the years. And I'm leaving that little border of the beige paper showing. I just like the way that looks. Just hold that down, give it a chance to set up a bit. And then it might need something up in this corner too. Let's see if there's another little something red. I have some rickrack I could add, or maybe a sentiment. I've got lots of sentiments cut out, and I tend not to use them actually. I cut them out and then I never use them. But when you're doing Christmas cards, you always get quite a few. And I think it needs to be red. Holiday cheer. Maybe like that, sticking out past. It's a bit big, maybe. Wishing you a Christmas that is warm, bright, and filled with delight. Too big. See the fussy cutting I did? I was in the zone. Yeah, none of these are doing it for me. Maybe Noel, because I've got the green up there. That's a blue one. Maybe just the word joy. It's just small. Sorry, I gotta take a moment to put these back. Or else I'll never get them put back. Fiddly. And I do like, maybe I'll put joy up here and put Noel down here. I don't want to cover up my tape, but in a way it doesn't matter, right? We all know it's there. We can see it. And this is going to look so much better inked. And I do like that I'm using red and green. I never use red and green at Christmas, so this is challenging me a little bit. And I'm going to use the 3-in-1 because it's going down on top of the tape. And I'm only going over so far because I'm going to hang it off the edge. Like that. Actually, I could have went over a little further there so that it doesn't lift. I'm just going to put another dot underneath there because it's on tape as well. And I'm going to hold it down because I want it to stay down. And then maybe another little button or something right up there. I have a button. Oh, I've got one of these little flowers. That could work. A little bit of 3D. You do it where you can, right? And then the joy maybe be backed with some red up here. That piece isn't quite big enough. This is a good way to take a teeny tiny little word and just give it a little more presence. If I could get it to come to me here. So glue it right down onto the red cardstock. And then cut around it. Actually, I'm going to leave the top edges, the top and the side edge square. I don't usually do that, and I just think I should try it. And then I'll put it up here in this corner. And it's actually going to hang off the edge a little bit too. And I'm going to let it. So that just gives me that magic trio of red. And this actually is thick enough, it could have been a tuck spot now that I'm looking at it. But too late now. But think about that when you're doing things in the corner like that that are cardstock. They could be tuck spots. There, so that's another one done. And different again. I like that I'm getting different effects done. Not just all the same. I tend to do that sometimes. I get a combination that I like and I just do it to death. So anyway, I think that's enough for right now. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and most of all, have a happy day.